Welcome to This Explainer. If you're a focused learner who absolutely loves dissecting how our minds actually work, well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're breaking down one of the most universally satisfying human experiences out there, the sudden breakthrough. You know the exact feeling I'm talking about, right? You're staring at a problem, totally stuck, and then, bam, out of nowhere, the clouds part, the proverbial light bulb goes off, and the answer is just completely obvious to you. But what's actually happening in our brains when that happens? Is it just random luck, or is there a structured science behind the whole shebang? Okay, let's dive into this. Where do these aha moments actually come from? Well, for a long time, early psychologists thought learning was basically just endless trial and error, literally just banging your head against a wall until something finally clicked. But cognitive theories completely flipped that idea on its head. They proposed that true learning is actually this beautiful process of developing deep understanding. It's not just about forming mindless habits. It's about a sudden, brilliant flash of inspiration. And that brings us to our core concept for today, insight. By definition, insight is the sudden grasping of the solution for a problematic situation. Basically, it's a flash of understanding that just hits you all of a sudden. But here's what I really want you to take away from this. Insight is absolutely not magic. I mean, sure, it might feel like magic in the moment, but according to cognitive theories, it's actually the sudden awareness or perception of the essential relationships within a total situation. Your brain is just rapidly connecting all the dots behind the scenes. Section 1. Gestalt. Seeing the whole. To truly understand insight, we've got to look at the pioneers who first studied it. Brilliant minds like Kafka, Kohler, and Max Wertheimer. Now, the word Gestalt literally translates to the whole or the totality of a situation. For Wertheimer and his colleagues, learning isn't just about memorizing isolated facts in a vacuum. Nope, it's all about perceptual organization. They argued that a learner actually has to perceive a situation as a complete interconnected whole. You really have to step back, look at the big picture, and evaluate the relationships between all the different parts to make a truly intelligent decision. So the crucial point is really captured in this comparison. If you look at the left side versus the right side, you'll see that Gestalt psychologists firmly believe the whole is far more important than the isolated parts. While older learning models focused really heavily on reacting to specific stimuli, kind of like a robot just responding to a button press, insight learning argues that a learner always responds to the proper relationship within the total situation. It's literally the difference between staring at a single puzzle piece and looking at the picture on the front of the puzzle box. Section 2. Sultan the chimpanzee, the pioneer of problem solving. Now, let's shift gears from theory to a super fascinating historical narrative. To prove this holistic approach to learning, Wolfgang Kohler conducted a series of groundbreaking experiments. I'd like you to meet Sultan, a highly intelligent chimpanzee. Kohler set up a learning situation that was, by definition, a real problem situation. Imagine being Sultan for a second. You're inside an enclosure, you're super hungry, and there's a delicious banana placed tantalizingly just out of your reach outside the cage. I mean, this is a high-stakes problem for a chimp. So how do you get the reward when your normal physical reach just isn't going to cut it? This brings us to Experiment 1, the stick problem. Let's walk through this sequence together. First, the banana is out of reach. Second, Sultan does what, honestly, any of us would do initially. He tries to reach directly with his arm. He fails. But then, step 3, instead of just endlessly reaching and failing over and over, Sultan experiences a sudden realization. He looks around, processes the total situation, and notices a stick inside the cage. Step 4, he grabs that stick and uses it as a tool to pull the banana in. Boom. He completely bypassed endless trial and error for a spontaneous flash of insight. In this brilliantly illustrates the core of Kohler's findings, which he pushed even further in Experiment 2, the box problem. This time, the banana is hung high from the ceiling. Out of reach again, but look really closely at Step 2, a period of apparent inactivity. Sultan just sits there. To an outside observer, it kind of looks like he's given up, right? But cognitively, his brain is working in absolute overdrive, evaluating the relationships of objects in his environment. Then, Step 3, the sudden realization hits. He jumps up, stacks several boxes that were just lying around, climbs them, and uses a stick to knock the banana down. The highest type of learning just took place right there, not by mindless repetition, but by pure insight. Section 3. Criteria for insight. Breaking down the data. You see, Sultan's success wasn't just some happy accident. Let's get a bit analytical and explore exactly what makes these cognitive breakthroughs possible. According to the research, there are 4 key criteria for insight development. First off, it's greatly facilitated by previous experience with similar problems. Basically, your brain uses past data to map out new solutions. Second, and I find this one really fascinating, insight actually does involve a little bit of trial and error behavior. Remember Sultan reaching for the banana with his bare hand first? You kind of have to test the boundaries of the problem. Third, insight formation is closely tied to intellectual development, so the higher the intellect, the quicker the insight occurs. And finally, insightful learning absolutely requires understanding and reasoning about the problem. You can't just guess your way to an aha moment, it takes real cognitive work.
Section 4. Steps to Understanding, the Mechanics of Insight. So, knowing those criteria, let's move to and see how this builds in our minds. Let's map out the exact cognitive journey from confusion to clarity across these 8 distinct steps. It begins with identifying the problem, followed immediately by truly understanding it. Then comes step 3, the incubation of ideas. This is Sultan sitting quietly, processing the whole scene. Step 4 is that trial mode of response, basically testing the waters. Step 5 is sustained attention. You absolutely cannot lose focus on the goal. And then, boom, step 6, insight development. The aha moment strikes. But we're not done yet. Step 7 is the steady repetition of that newly discovered adaptive behavior, which finally solidifies into step 8, full comprehension of your new ability. It's a highly structured, almost beautiful cognitive pathway. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful summarizing quote from the source material. Learning is a purposive, exploratory, and creative enterprise in which the total situation is taken into account by the learner. I love that. True learning is spontaneous. It's an active, highly intelligent deduction of a solution. When you finally perceive the whole, you unlock your creative potential to actually solve the puzzle. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to carry with you today. How will you use the holdover parts philosophy to solve your next big problem? The next time you're feeling totally stuck, don't just endlessly force a specific stimulus or bang your head against the wall. Step back. Look at the total situation. Channel your inner Sultan, let the ideas incubate, and set the stage for your very own flash of insight. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.